Well, it's doing right.
It is 5:30 p.m. on Tuesday, May 6, 2025. I call this special meeting and workshop of the Kingsville Independent School District to order. We will have roll call. Joe Ellis.
Here.
Ryan Kupal. Martin Chapa.
Here.
David Garcia.
Here.
Joseph Reese. Nelma Salinas.
Here.
Jacob Perez. Here. Let the record show that there is a quorum of board members present and that this meeting has been posted in accordance with Government Code Chapter 551, State of Texas Open Meetings Act. We move to the moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance and the Texas Pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
This meeting will be live video streamed at https://bit.ly/3SROL uppercase Q and uppercase R. We move to item number 4, adoption of the agenda. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda? Okay, motion by Mr. Ellis,
I'll second.
seconded by Delma Salinas. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we'll go to item number 5, public participation. Do we have anyone that wishes to address the board? Mrs. Pettis?
Yes, the first one we have is Scott Hamilton. He's HMQ teacher, biology, in reference to school health.
Before we begin, Mr. Maddox, you want to set the ground rules, please?
Yes, Mr. Vice President, although I don't have a microphone.
Put your fingers, sir.
3 fingers?
There you go.
Now I have a microphone. Thank you, Mr. Vice President, members of the Board of Trustees, Superintendent Dr. Garcia. Yes, so public comment will be 5 minutes per person. Please do not speak of any individuals or students, or otherwise it will be my job to redirect you to our policies that involve grievances for those nature. If you are here with a group of 5 or more, please designate one speaker, and I'll give that speaker more time. That way we can execute this more effectively and more efficiently. Also, I please remember to be courteous and respectful of the decorum in which we are in. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
May I begin?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
just wanted to make sure.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Thank y'all for letting me speak to y'all this evening. I believe time is very important, so I want to keep my comments as brief as I can. We've got to come together as a school district. We've got to find a way to work together in everything that we do. Our ratings have not been great, as we know, and I think that the school board, the teachers, the administrators, the students, and the parents all have responsibility for that. I think we all need to take ownership of it and not look for problems, but look for ways to find solutions. Okay? As y'all know, I've only been a teacher here for 2 years. I had a very good career where I worked for Wells Fargo, Bank of America, and I handled analytical work for many years. I'm doing this, and I'm a teacher here because I care. I'm boots on the ground, got it certified, never taught before, and I think, my scores show that I'm doing what I need to do in the classroom. Okay? So I reviewed, when it comes to the calendar, I wanted to really look at it. The first thing I did as an analytical person is I reviewed the TEA report that many people have been referencing. I did an analytical review of that report on the 4 and 5 day calendar. I wanted to make sure that that report was valid so we could utilize it. I have provided over here 7 copies for any of the board members who would like it. There are copies on a seat back here if you'd like the full review. I'm not going to read that full review. It's too in-depth. And actually, it's more of a Cliff Note version. But the one thing that I want to walk away from it, there's 3 things that the TA report discusses. They first discuss several basic prior reports. 3 of those reports support our 4-day calendar if you read it. They also discuss their methodology. Their methodology actually has 5 different parts in it that are so weak, I would even present a report to one of my prior companies because I'd be fired on the spot. The last part is that it used over pushing urban districts versus rural districts in the report. Of course, the urban districts were the 5-day calendar and the rural districts were the 4-day calendar. We're not comparing apples to apples here, folks. Generally, that report I found very lackluster, and it would not stand the ground in the banking industry that I came a part of in analyzing it. So let me tell you what I like about the 4-day calendar. First of all, with the 4-day calendar, we get so much instruction time before the STAR test. We have all this time to prepare my students for the STAR. We start in July. Those additional instructional days is essential for each of us teachers teaching STAR to get these students ready to take the test. Second of all, we lose so many days on good instruction during our Fridays at the high school based upon the calendars we know with the band, the football, all the programs. With the calendar as it sets, that helps. The current schedule allows me to have personal instruction on the Fridays with my students. Okay, it gives me that opportunity to teach them, some of them one-on-one, and it gives them time. Many of y'all will ask, well, why does that matter? A lot of those students only can ride the bus. They can't get there before and after school. Friday's the only time that I can give them that instruction, and I'm going to lose this in a lot of students that I've helped this year and last year. Third, next, the bottom line is that I need, again, as many instructional days for STAR. Data shows that my results personally have gone up. When I came here, I taught 2 months, and my personal scores were 77% biology STAR pass. Next year, this past year, with a 4-day calendar, I was at 84%. That has nothing to do with the calendar, folks. The calendar helped me. It did not hurt me. Please reconsider that option. The last thing I have a lot of people tell me is that this calendar, going to a 5-day, we can get more students to come in. We're going to get them there. We're going to get them there. We're losing them on the Friday because not everybody's showing up. The people that aren't showing up on the other 4 days, folks. That's the honest truth. They're not showing up. If I put, I now sound to put, if I had a barn and 4 buckets of water in it, and the horse isn't drinking it, the 4 buckets, putting a 5th bucket in the barn is not going to get that horse to drink the water. That's not the solution. Giving us another day during the week. We've got to find better solutions to fix the problem. What are the solutions? The biggest problem we have, that I personally have, is the phones in the schools. The phones in the schools are the biggest problem. I will conclude with also that basically the structure of the schools need to have more structure. Lastly, if we love our students, if we care about them, we will do what it takes. We will do the hard work. We will make the decisions to really make effective difference in the schools. I promise you I'm doing it. I hope that we all do it together. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hamilton. The next,
We have Delma Hernandez, HMP teacher, and it's in reference to the calendar.
Can you hear me? No? Okay. I just wanted to come back because evidently at the last meeting I had left and I think Mr. Garcia wanted to ask me some questions about something I had said. And there was a misinterpretation of that. What I had said was that I felt that the reason that the scores went down is because we had hired some instructional coaches that weren't very well, like they really didn't know what they were doing. And they were telling veteran teachers what to do, and they were being told, the ITC teachers, at that time, were being told this is not gonna work. Our kids are not gonna pass doing this, and they were forced to do it. Those people are now gone, thankfully, but that was one of the main reasons why the scores went down, because the teachers were being forced to use curriculum that was not gonna address the STAR. Hopefully now, because those people left and we've got really good ITC people now, that we're hoping to see the scores go up, okay? So I just wanted to address that with you, so I don't know if you had anything else for me, but that, I just wanted, because that came back to me and I said, okay, let me address it. The next thing I wanted to address real quick is that y'all are saying that kids don't come to Blue Friday. I know our school, we have a little QR code that the kids do, but I personally do my own, okay? And I just want you to see how many pages and pages and pages that go through here. And it's not just for making up hours. This last one, because the kids know we only have a few more Blue Fridays left, they're coming in for the hours. But if you go through, and I wish I would have made copies of this so I could show you this, but look at how many pages here of all the students that come to my Blue Friday, come get the extra work, and especially the athletes, the ones that miss because they're out on the field. Okay, so I just wanted to make that. And the last thing I wanted to address is I was very disappointed because I went back and looked at the last meeting, that there's a couple of people that want to open your eyes to reconsider putting out there to all the public, teachers, students, parents, to open it up to let us decide whether we want a 4.5 day or a 5 day. You guys kind of shut it down and you're making the decision for us. And I don't think that's very fair. You close your eyes on it. You're not leaving it open, and you're not letting the people decide between the 4.5 and 5. I think that's not right with this board. I think you should let everybody decide, and whatever happens. If the 5 wins, 5 wins. The 4.5 wins, let the 4.5 win. But you need to let everybody make that decision, not just you all, because that's not very fair. Do you have any questions before because I don't want to. All right, well, I thank you for your time. I just wanted to come back and address those issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hernandez. Anyone else? Ms. Perez?
This is Elizabeth Ramos, community, and it's in reference to the calendar.
Is that a good height for you?
Hello. Hello, Paula Garcia. I guess, do you do all three?
Yeah.
Okay, Dr. Paula Garcia, welcome.
Thank you.
Hello, afternoon board. I am here for the calendar. I'm not even a parent, but I think about if my kid comes back, what would I like my kid to be in as far as an environment in school? I really would like him to come back as freshman year. There are some things that the teachers here that were made very good points. I do have to disagree with 2 of them. One, I forgot what it was already. But we elected you in a position to make good choices. I don't believe there should be any kind of public poll. And I know that Joppa asked for that, I believe. Last time you guys were here talking about the calendar, you asked for community input. I don't know if that was for that or the superintendent. I can't remember which one, but I'm gonna disagree with that because we hired you guys to think for us. You're supposed to be available to us. You have an email, you have a phone number, and if the community or teachers or anyone's concerned, they need to contact you. I don't believe that the people taking the poll, the majority, let's just call it 90%, know exactly what type of information you guys should be looking at when considering how you run your district. Because you guys have the scores. You guys see the table report. They don't understand how to swallow that information, okay? But the teachers, principals, yeah, but just Sally Sue, as a mother, doesn't know what you guys are looking at. My personal opinion is I do not think the 4-day calendar is working for certain populations. Have you guys seen the Tarper report? You should see it and look at it. The high school did better with a 4.5. I'm not sure if it was leadership or what kind of curriculum they had in place or whether the teenagers actually liked the idea, but it's not working for pre-K to grade 8. And you can see that in your Tarper report. You know, not everything's good for everybody else. And I think you need to look at that. And I think going from a 4.5 and saying, I want 5 because this isn't working is silly too. Because it wasn't working under the 5-day calendar either. So I think you guys need to pump the brakes here. Have yourself a nice little board meeting, workshop next week. Have some community input in here in a workshop, open communication with everyone's in the room, and you need to sit down and look at your Tarper reports. That's telling. I don't know a TEA allows, half of our students to do one schedule and the other half to do another, but that's maybe something to consider or even ask if that's even possible. Another thing is, if you do consider a 5-day calendar or not, I seriously think you guys need to look into block scheduling for middle and high school. And I believe that the elementary schools need to be aligned. That way those resources are available on campus for that specific grade. No one's running around with a chip with their head cut off about what's going on at pre-K right now in 5th, 4th grade. Also in high school, if you do block scheduling, we only have 4 periods. Passing period would be a lot easier. Kids won't complain about using the restroom on time. Not only that, if you fail, let's say Algebra 1 as a freshman in your fall semester, you can go ahead and take that right away in the spring and still pass. And you don't have 8 different types of homework each night from each class. You only have 4. I've done both, traditional and block's a whole lot easier. Grades went up. People paid attention. Because in class, you got 5-7 minutes in the beginning of class and the end of class to get your class together. That's wasted time right there. So technically on that regular schedule, you only got about 38 minutes of class. So I would hope that you guys stay at the table tonight and really think about this sometime next week in a workshop about the right thing to do. Because you go back to a 5-day calendar, you're in the same boat. Just to call it a different name. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mrs. Ramos. Anyone else, Mrs. Perez?
No, sir.
Thank you. Okay, let's go to item 6, new business. We go to 6A, discussion and possible action regarding our out-of-state travel, H.M. King High School, JROTC, Lieutenant James Trio and Sergeant Carlos Camacho. And this could be found in your board book on pages 3 to 6. Mr. Camacho.
Good evening. Yeah, I should walk for this one.
Good evening. I'm Lieutenant Colonel Troy. Sergeant Camacho couldn't make it. We're getting prepared for our awards ceremony. We're requesting out-of-state travel to Disney. We have about eight cadets, and we have my wife as a chaperone and myself. And it's going to be funded by ROTC ourselves. We got the money. It's going to be about $7,000. Nothing's coming out of the school. It's coming out of our student activity account. The kids had end-of-year requirements. Out of 100, only 8 made it. And we're just requesting the out-of-state travel tonight.
Thank you, sir. Any questions from the board, comments? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the H.M. King High JROTC trip to Orlando, Florida? Moved by Mr. Chapa.
Second.
Second by Mr. David Garcia. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The motion passes 5-0. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, next item, 6B. Discussion and possible action regarding donation from the American Heart Association, CPR kits to Kingsville ISD. Dr. Pitts.
Thank you, Mr. Pettis, Dr. Gamron Garcia, members of the board. We have a donation from the American Heart Association. We have a donation from the American Heart Association for CPR kits, and I would like to introduce the members here from the American Heart Association: Sonia Marines, Melissa De La Garza, and Amy Snell Canterbury. Please come on up.
Hello.
A little bit closer.
Hello. Okay. Hi. Thank you guys all for allowing us to come. I'm Sonia Marinas, and I work for the American Heart Association. And so what I do with the American Heart Association is youth engagement. So for the last 6 years, I've had the pleasure, honor to work with the schools of Kingsville ISD. Specifically, I work more with the elementary schools and the middle schools. We bring the program that's called Kids Heart Challenge, which used to be called Jump Rope for Heart, which most people remember. I always get a lot of nods when I say Jump Rope for Heart. So it's evolved through the years. So Kids Heart Challenge is still about exercising. It's still about kids learning about their heart, but it's more whole child. As our schools are trying to address health on all levels, we're trying to meet them there and be a true partner. So we talk about things like exercise, but also things like staying away from tobacco and getting enough sleep and being a good leader. But we also are really focused on teaching our communities hands-only CPR. So this used to be something that was only for doctors and nurses, and that shows in our communities because heart disease remains the #1 killer of all Americans. However, we have a community of bystanders. People do not act when there's a cardiac event. About 80% of the time, people don't get involved because they think someone else is, or they think that they're not a doctor. So students as young as 4 can learn the steps to hands-only CPR. Kids as young as 9 can administer hands-only CPR. So this is not the certification that most people get. Sometimes that's only a portion of people in a school. Sometimes it's 1 person, sometimes it's 2. So we know that cardiac events, unfortunately, have a very high occurrence of happening. So Corpus Christi's American Heart Association has actually been chosen as a pilot for a program that's called Nation of Lifesavers. And what we are trying to do is change those statistics, is start to change the culture so that our kids and our families know what to do, that at least 1 person in every household knows the steps. Even a child, when the adults are running around and freaking out and not knowing what to do, a child can identify, I know what to do, Mom. You're supposed to call 911. You're supposed to push fast and hard. I'm gonna sing the Baby Shark song. So we're trying to bring all of this to our schools because we know that we can address so many that way. So these CPR kits are something that we actually learned through a nurse conference that we were told that this Kingsville ISD would greatly benefit. So it used to be something that CPR kits were only used, to train teachers or coaches or seniors when they were graduating. So we really want to challenge you to use these in a different way. These can be used to train parents. It could be used to train cafeteria workers. It could be used to train our students. If it's through PE, if it's through health class, if it's through anything. Imagine if kids were practicing at the age of 4. And then they were practicing when they were in middle school, and then they were getting certified when they were seniors. That's real impact, that's real sustainable change. When I talk to kids all the time, I tell them that us adults are not very good at our health, and that we want better for them. We want them to know what to do, we want them to act, we want them to use health as something that not to fix when it's broken, but to get healthy from the beginning. So we have many of these kits. But I'm going to introduce my colleague Amy, who works with local corporations, and she was able to get some donors to put these in the schools and talk to you a little bit more about that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us. I'm Amy Canterbury. I'm the Development Director for our Heart of Corpus Christi campaign. You might have heard of the Heart Ball, but that's how these kits were made possible. I just want to recognize the donors very quickly. Clayburg Bank, Texas A&M University, Kingsville, American Steel Supply, Fulton Construction, the Adler family have made these kits possible. We have 115 to give to you to disperse out to all the schools in Kingsville ISD. These kits can be used numerous times if you take good care of them. They actually have an inflatable mannequin inside, and they can be used to train hundreds of parents, students, volunteers, PTO members, of every staff member you have on site. So just want to give a shout out to those donors for stepping up and donating to our campaigns so that we can make this local mission work possible. A lot of people think that we just do national work, but we're in our community every day with the youth programs, with Melissa as our community impact director, and with us fundraising to make sure things like this happen. So thank you for allowing us to bring these to Kingsville ISD. And now I'll turn it over to Melissa Dedler-Carza, our community impact director.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you, everyone. So my part is pretty simple. I get to, as Amy said, she's the fundraiser. She works for the Heart Ball and raises funds and got all these funds donated for these wonderful kits that we're delivering to you guys today. But my job is to also be able to let you know that we have a resource called a Cardiac Emergency Response Plan. Every year, 23,000 students or children have a cardiac arrest. Most of the time they're in school. They spend most of their day in school, so the likelihood of them having one, if they have one, having it at school is pretty. We've heard of several that have happened here recently and locally. There was a gentleman playing baseball and he collided with another player and he went into cardiac arrest. So we have a plan, a template. It's called a Cardiac Emergency Response Plan, and it lays everything out much the same as a fire drill does. So what we would like to do is partner with Kingsville ISD. I have sent it to the nurse, but letting you guys know about it and getting with the right people to make the right decisions. We'd love to be able to implement this plan for Kingsville ISD. It is a district-wide plan. It is for all the campuses to be able to have this plan in place, and it simply lays out all the steps needed and all the evidence-based practices needed to be able to have a successful cardiac arrest.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Can we get some of you to come up?
Now, board members,
Yeah.
Yes, we would love that so
Yes,
much.
that would be awesome.
Our donors would love to see that, to see that they're making a difference.
Got a flower on.
Mine though.
Everybody?
Okay, I'll take go.
We need to skip one. Yeah, a little bit more stuff with it. Careful. All right. 3, 2, 1. There. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone.
Well, thank you.
Oh, I got it. I got it.
Oh, you got her.
No, thank you so much.
So Debbie, are you back there in the corner?
David.
Having too much fun over it.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate the donation. You never know, may save a life one day. To continue, let's see. Do I have a motion to approve the donation from the American Heart Association for KISD?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Garcia,
I'll second.
second by Ms. Salinas. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The motion passes 5-0. Again, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next item, 6C. Discussion and possible action regarding the LASO and Strong Foundations Planning, SFP, and Strong Foundations Implementation, SFI, grants, Mrs. Rebecca Perkins and Mrs. Jennifer Flowers.
And Dr. Vasquez.
Oh, it's not on my thing here.
Yes, I apologize.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Dr. Vallecero.
Yes, sir, I'm not real good at that, but that's okay, we can hold on to that, 'cause the girls are gonna help me.
Okay, so, Mr. Pettis, Dr. Gama Garcia, members of the board. First, before I begin to present, I would like to share that we want to celebrate the fact that we have received several grants for our district. We are almost at over $1 million for next school year. So that's a celebration within itself.
So I just wanted to share that under,
It's not talking, okay. Under Dr. Bezeniz's leadership, we received that much money, so I just wanted to share that with you all. We are going to present on the Strong Foundations Planning Grant as well as the Strong Foundations Implementation Grant. One was already shared with you all, but we wanted to share it again with you because, I don't know why it keeps doing that. So
You gotta talk into it.
I'm trying. But we wanted to share the fact that we do need some action. Dr. Betznice, hold on, you've got a couple of mine. Okay, there you go.
Okay.
I apologize. We wanted to share that we do have an action item as well, because we do have a deadline of May 16th to upload the provider information that has been selected. And so the ladies, Ms. Flowers and Ms. Perkins, will be sharing the information with you all. Okay, so I just wanted to make clear that deadline that's coming in. Okay, I'm not that tall. Good evening, it's a pleasure to see each and every one of you again this evening. I am Rebecca Perkins. I will be presenting on the SFP, or the Strong Foundations Planning Grant, that is focused in literacy. As you all know, that we were all awarded, the district was awarded $140,000. And there was a time when we talked about what it was focused on. We're going to look at literacy programs within the district, how we can best support our teachers using professional development, implementing some strategies that will promote better reading and writing proficiency, starting from pre-K all the way through 12th grade. The main purpose of the SFB is to is to make sure that we have what our kids need to be successful in the upcoming year and beyond. The purpose of tonight is to focus on the 50% portion, the allocation that is required of us for the grant. We're required to pay a provider TEA selected from a TEA selected list, and that's what we have done. On April 25th, there was a committee that was created based on the campus nominations. A letter was issued for those nominees. They accepted and then they attended. At this attendance, we reviewed 2 separate providers, which was Moat Casey and ESC2. Each one was provided a vendors list rubric in which for them to kind of see what they liked and what they didn't like based on criteria. After that was done, it was compiled into this format, which Dr. Pitts was very kind to help me with. And then from there, we input the data, got a percentage, and the percentage that won out was for Moat Casey. So tonight, what we were asking for you to do is to allow us to move forward with that committee decision. And now, Ms. Flowers.
Good evening. Just to reiterate, on April 22nd, we were awarded the SFI grant for MAC. So that is that implementation grant that Dr. Ballesteros was talking about. Despite the fact that we were only awarded it on April 22nd, we do still have that May 16th deadline. So we also had to select a provider. The grant funds are designed to support the adoption of Bluebonnet Learning mathematics materials and the implementation of Bluebonnet Learning at eligible Title I federally school improvement designated campuses. And you can see up there our elementary schools that would qualify are Harvey and Harrell, and our secondary school is Gillette, that would qualify for these funds. Our total award amount is $445,000. The elementary schools would get $245,000, and secondary Gillette would get $200,000. In accordance with the grant requirements, Kingsville ISD must contract with a provider from the TEA's pre-approved list, as Ms. Perkins said as well. 50% of those funds do have to go to that one provider. And that is our action item for today that we are asking of y'all to approve. The provider that we selected, our CNI team sat through some meetings with 3 different providers. We met with them. We evaluated their pitch and we decided to go with Carnegie Learning. So that is what we are asking of you today, to approve that we spend the 50% of the grant funds on that one provider, Carnegie Learning.
So we recommend the Board of Trustees approve the selection and funding of TEA approved provider for LASSO 3 Strong Foundations Planning Grant, MOC Casey. Administration also recommends the Board of Trustees approve the selection and funding of TEA approved provider for the LASSO 3 Strong Foundations Implementation Grant, Carnegie Learning.
Just to provide a little bit of clarification, this is all grant funded, but both the vendors are over 50,000. It still does require board approval.
Any questions from the board?
So, Dr. Pitts, you're saying that this is 100% grant funded,
That's correct.
and I thought I heard $50,000 match.
Half of the grant has to go to their partner, their provider. The rest of the grant can be used for other things, but at least 50% of the grant has to go to the provider.
Does those 50,000 come from us, or it comes from the grant itself?
That comes from the
Okay.
grant itself.
Second thing, why is it only Harvey and Harold? What about Bettis?
Harvey and Harold were the ones selected because they are TIP campuses. Now Pettis we will utilize the same materials for Pettis. Local funding will supplement that program, but any of the trainings that we have, they are willing to include Pettis Elementary for the trainings. So really the fact that we have 2 campuses already participating, as well as Gillette, Carnegie said they are willing to allow the Pettis staff to also join us for the trainings. In terms of purchasing the materials, they are also included in the purchase of the materials.
TEA identifies our targeted improvement campuses, so we don't have a choice in that.
Quick question. You have here Mo Casey.
Yes, sir.
Mo Casey and ESC2. Was there another, third, or fourth vendor? Why don't we just 2 options there?
At that time, those were the only 2 that were pursuing us. And when I say pursuing, it's several vendors were trying to get a hold of us, and basically the 2 that pursued us the most was ESC2 and Mo Casey.
And so, Mo Casey and I'm a little confused with the
Carnegie Learning?
Yeah, Carnegie Learning.
Yes, sir. Carnegie Learning is for math. Mo Casey is going to help us with literacy, and the literacy grant is only for planning purposes. The math grant is for implementation and utilization of Bluebonnet learning. So it is different, and they will be assisting us. They will be providing professional development for the use of Bluebonnet for Carnegie will. Mo Casey will be helping us to develop a framework for literacy so that district-wide we can all be on the same page in terms of which direction are we heading in terms of literacy.
So are they going to be like a grant administrator? Are they going to come and audit, or what are their parameters?
Actually, they're here to assist us in and guide us in a submission of information that is due to TEA, as well as provide staff development training. For example, for the literacy grant, RB's training is a required training that we have to attend in July. And so they recommend that the committee members attend and have RB's training. And so basically they're here for the whole year to help us create that framework.
I like the free money part of it, but I want to get Dr. Garcia here to see maybe some thoughts about what you think, what you've heard here. Give you some little bit of feedback if you can.
I think that going through a process where you evaluate the vendors is always smart, so I appreciate the creation of the rubric. I'm very familiar with Carnegie Learning for Math. They're actually very strong. I'm less familiar with Casey, but one of the things that I know about curriculum instruction is it really comes to implementation and fidelity of implementation. So I'm more excited about what happens afterwards, right? Once they create the timeline for when all the deliverables are gonna happen. And then along with the markers, like how are we knowing that we're on a track to success? And that we're being successful as the program becomes implemented. So those are really, for me, the strong indicators. I'm really also thinking of, you say this is where the ones that we're pursuing as agent. The only wondering that I have, if there were certain programs that you really wanted, because they're very, however it is that you've done your research, how do you get them to the table so that they take an interest? I know that usually big companies prefer the bigger districts because it's easier. But also I think that there's an opportunity for us as a district to decide that these are the certain vendors or partners that we want to work with and how do we get them to the table to collaborate. But Carnegie Learning strong, not familiar with more Casey, but it's an implementation planning year. And I'm more curious to know what happens afterwards.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Dr. Gama Garcia.
Thank you, Dr. Rice.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ladies. Do I have a motion to approve the selection and funding of the LASSO 3, SFP, and SFI grants?
So moved.
Opposed? I'm sorry, Delma Salinas, motion, seconded? Second. Mr. Morales, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Continuing with 6D, discussion and possible action regarding purchases over 50,000. Dr. Pitts.
Thank you, Mr. Pettis. This is for the replacement of the 2 package units that are on top of the old gym at HMK. Right now, one of them is not operational and the second one is operating at probably about half capacity. The lowest bid was Quantum. The next lowest bid after that was $12,000 more than Quantum, and then the other ones after that. So we are requesting, this current one is for $53,000. Again, you see the previous, that is what we have previously spent this year to date for Quantum. I will take any questions the board has.
No questions? Okay, thank you, Dr. Pitts.
Administration recommends that the board approve the purchases over 50,000.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation from administration. Do I have a motion? So moved. Moved by Mr. Morales, seconded by Mr. Chapa. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay, item 6E, discussion and possible action regarding the CASD instructional calendar for the 2025-2026 school year, parentheses 5A, Mrs. Tanya Williams.
Good evening.
He's gonna talk in front of it. It's on.
Good evening, members of the board, Dr. Gama Garcia. We do have a presentation up for you to review as we go through the calendars that we are going to present. On our first slide, you will see the members of our DEIC committee and the subcommittees in which they are a part of. Next slide, we do have our timeline for the 25-26 calendar planning and decision-making process. On January 15th, the DEIC met to discuss, review, and revise calendar drafts and propose options to be surveyed. February 21st, a staff and student survey link was emailed internally to all staff and teachers. March 12th, the DEIC reviewed and discussed the results of the surveys. March 25th, the winning calendar of those surveys was presented to the board. It was then requested to present 2 5-day calendar options. On April the 16th, 2 5-day calendar options were presented to the board. It was then requested to take them back to DEIC for discussion and recommendation. April 23rd, DEIC reviewed and discussed and made recommendations to revise draft 2 of the 2 original 5-day calendar options. Ms. Flowers is going to go ahead and pass out some copies of the calendars in which we use to develop the template and to revise on the 5-day calendars. And then today, May 6th, we are presenting a revised 5-day draft 2 instructional calendar for the 25-26 school year for board review and possible approval. Before I continue, I'll make sure everybody has their copies first. So when we were first asked to draft a 5-day calendar option, what we did was we went back to our 2022-2023 school year. That was the last school year in which we had a 5-day calendar implemented. And we used that as a template to draft our 2 5-day calendar options. That traditional calendar started on August 22nd and had an end date of June 2nd. First 5-day calendar option, which on your copies is titled Original, I believe. I'm sorry, that is draft 1, titled on the copies that you have, my apologies. With draft 1, that had a start date of August 25th and an end date of May 29th. And it gave 60,450 instructional minutes prior to STAR. It also front-loaded our PD and our work days at the beginning of the school year. Calendar draft 2 has a start date of August 19th, an end date of May 22nd. It includes 62,310 instructional minutes prior to STAR. And it also front loads our PD and our work days for the beginning of the school year. Calendar option 2 revised is the one that was taken back to DEIC. That one has a start date of August the 11th, an end date of May 22nd. It includes 63,240 minutes of instructional minutes prior to STAR. It front loads PD and work days at the beginning of the school year. And we were also able to include any recommendations or suggestions that we had received, including having a teacher work day after a Christmas break or long breaks such as those. And before we end the presentation, we would like to thank the DEIC committee members and everyone else who participated in the calendar planning process. At this time, we are recommending the revised 5-day instructional calendar for the 2025-2026 school year. Are there any questions?
Just one comment again. We still are able to get in 6 wellness days, correct?
Yes, sir. There's at least 1 Friday off a month.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I have some comments for this. I'm sorry. For these 5-day calendars that have been presented, was there a survey done?
There was not a survey. It was taken back to DEIC. DEIC made recommendations. We voted on those, and that was.
And then I also understand, because I got it, there was a letter from DIC, it was written, asking that the original 4.5 day instructional day calendar be reinstated
Better service not necessary.
as an option for for it to go alongside the proposed 5-day calendar. So I just want to let the board know, and I know the board saw the letter also. And I'm going to be totally honest, I can't support the calendar, the 5-day calendar. It's really been, I don't know, it hasn't been handled correctly, no blame to no one, but and we need a calendar already. Master schedules need to be done. Students need to know when school's going to start and end and so forth. But I can't support the 5-day calendar. Thank you. Any other comments or questions?
Dr. Garcia, I'd like your feedback on what you think so far.
Okay. For me, a couple of things that I know about education when I look at high-performing districts is that I've never seen a high-performing district that does not have a 5-day schedule. And I know there's data, but historically that does not happen. When I think back of how the charter movement started, and the reason so many people are going to charters, the charter movement started on the promise that the school year was gonna be longer and the school day was gonna be longer because the students that they were targeting, Title I students, right, low-income communities, was that when students are at home, they're really just wasting time. They're not engaging with academics, they're not engaging with curriculum. Parents are working. I grew up in a household where my parents worked 2 or 3 jobs, and school, it becomes a safe haven for kids. Knowing now that we're in a different type of competition, we're in a competition of attention now. So for me, I just have a lot of questions like professional development. I know that in education we like professional development, but we know there's also research that says that we only retain less than 10% of anything that we hear. So with that many days of professional development, like if you think about it, you're only gonna retain maybe a day because your brain can only take so much. So I'm wondering, what are we gonna be doing during those days, right? And how are we gonna use those days? And why are they not spread out more during the week or during the calendar year? I also think that that we just also need to be mindful of community and businesses, right? When I think of student attainment, it has a direct correlation to workforce. That's another thing that I know. If our students are not performing, if they're not meeting standards, if they're not spending time in school, then what are they doing? What are they learning? And how is that going to be connected to the workforce? And what are our business community, our families, everybody works, everybody has something to do. So in terms of the details of the calendars, I would have to understand them, if there's celebrations, if there are things that are unique to the community. But for me, a strong preference has always been the 5-day school week. I do think that we need to make accommodations in terms of the start and end time. Older kids need to start later because I have a 16-year-old that doesn't go to school early. Also, what do we know about the work schedules, when work ends? Connected it to transportation, when we can run buses. So for me, it's more thinking of holistically, what do we want, what do we aim to do? What do we want to be true for the community? But if you're asking me, what is my preference? My preference is a 5-day school week, being mindful of things that the community cares about, and also thinking of how do we span teacher professional development to make it impactful, to make it meaningful, and to ensure that they're ready for the first day of school, having planned out what is going to happen in the first 6 weeks, because that time really matters.
Any other comments or questions?
Yes, the last meeting, I had made a motion and it was seconded that we get feedback from students, teachers, and parents. The same survey feedback that was gathered for the 4-day calendars. I'm not sure why we didn't get that. We, as a board, get to set policy. That is one of our responsibilities, is not. So I don't know why that's not what we're presenting here today, but it's kind of, and try not to be insulted here, but we did ask for that, did we not? And it was approved, we voted for that. Okay, so. So the DIC decided to recommend one of these 3 calendars, and that's fine. But just so you know, that was our call. We have that right as a board, and just so you know that, okay?
And to add to Mr. Chapa, that was something we requested again. I'm repeating what he said, but for some reason it went to the DIC, but didn't go beyond that as far as the 5-day. For whatever reason, I don't have any idea why. I'm at a loss too.
And just to verify, I voted no on that motion, and I just want to let that be known. Any other questions, concerns? Is there a motion?
What's the motion?
I'm gonna let one of the board members make the motion.
Okay. I make the motion that we accept the 5-day calendar that was presented to us by DEIC.
Motion made by Mr. David Garcia. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Delma Salinas.
Trustee Garcia, just to clarify, would that be draft 2 revised?
Well, it's
It's a month presented.
in our packet.
The one that's presented in our packet.
correct.
That is correct. It's draft 2 revised.
Draft your revised.
Does he need to?
But where does it say revised?
On your copy, it just says draft 2 5-day. The other one says draft 2 5-day original.
Okay.
So will that work, Mr. Maddox, his motion?
Yes, sir, thank you.
Well, let's do a roll call vote, please. Mr. Mireles?
Yes.
Mr. Chapa?
Yes.
Mr. David Garcia?
Yes.
Ms. Salinas?
Yes.
And I vote no, Mr. Jacob Perez. The motion passes 4-1.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 7, enter into closed session. The board will enter into closed session in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code 55.071 and 551.074 to deliberate and consider the following. 7A, consider and deliberate regarding the renewal of term contracts for the positions of Assistant Super Curriculum Instruction, Director of Special Ed, and 504, and Attendance Compliance Officer for the 2025-2026 school year. 7B, consider and deliberate regarding the interim superintendent counteroffer, and 7C, consultation with legal regarding legal and personnel matters. No action will be taken until we return to open session. We are entering closed session at 6:28 p.m. Item 8A, return to open session. We now return to open session to take necessary action on matters which the board may discuss in open session upon which action may be taken. We are returning to open session at 7:38. Item 8A, no action will be taken. Item 8B, no action will be taken. Item 8C, I make the motion to approve as discussed in closed session. Second by Martin Chapa. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes 5-0. This meeting, if there's being no further action to hear a motion to adjourn, do I hear a motion to adjourn? So moved by Mr. Vidales. Second by Mr. Chapa. No further discussion. We adjourn.